Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's edition of Life with Ada Ebufo. Today's topic: how to find success after you have failed, perhaps more than once. So, let me start by asking you this: have you failed before and perhaps failed again? And now you're beginning to feel like you're the only one who has encountered failure or perhaps disappointment or setbacks, and you're about to throw in the towel. Well, if you have failed before, let me say congratulations. That means you are living. And if you have never encountered failure before, I suggest you start living. You see, failure is, is a word that defines or describes an action, an event that nobody wants to encounter. But unfortunately, everybody, everybody encounters failure at one point or the other, and a lot of people much more than once. Let me refresh your mind for a moment. Remember when you were a baby and you're learning to walk? Can you remember how many times you tried and failed? Can you imagine your mom saying, okay, dear, you have tried this once or twice. Okay, don't even bother. That's it, you can't walk. But you kept trying until today you were walking. Some of us had to try more than 2 or 3 times before we were able to stand on our feet for just a minute or two. Perhaps you can remember that. And I remember helping my children when they were babies to learn to sit down. They're sitting there shaking. I have to keep rubbing their back and help them. And sometimes I use pillow to support them until they were able to get the hang of it. And I can remember when my son took his first steps, he was so excited. Unfortunately, the journey didn't was soon aborted. And it had to be so many other attempts and failing and crying. Eventually, he got the hang of it. So that's what I mean. If you're wondering what the heck is she talking about, after all, that is part of growing up. I say you're right. Failure is always part of growing up. You see, the mother and the father of failures took place in the Garden of Eden when Eve accepted lunch from the serpent himself. I mean, who does that? And of course, Adam just couldn't. He just had to have a bite at it. So he also followed suit. And so failure, it's a human thing. It's a natural thing to us, if I might add. One of the things that I discovered when I made the decision to rescue myself, to embrace my purpose after my epiphany, was to confront myself. Yes, confront myself. And it's easy to confront other people, but very often, rarely do people confront themselves. And one of the things I did was to confront myself. And I quickly discovered that I made some really silly mistakes that cost me so much and led me to experience, failures. Maybe I'm the only one who had encountered failure more than once. But that's my story. And so, as I continued to do my research, I quickly discovered that a lot of my favorite successful people had also experienced failures one way or the other. And I'm going to share what some of them said about failure. And just a few of them, I can't list all of them, but a few of them that you are probably familiar with. And one of them is Tony Robbins, the great motivation teacher and speaker And this is a man who's made a very successful life out of teaching people how to succeed. So when he says that you have to fail in order to succeed, I mean, you want to think about that. You have to fail in order to succeed. Yeah. And he said, failure is your best friend. And rejection and frustration are instigators. What is instigator? An instigator is something that spurs you on, that challenges you. Well, when people succeed, they tend to party, he said. And when they fail, some tend to ponder. So when I looked up the definition of ponder, Google Dictionary says it's a careful, a thorough thinking about a situation before making a decision or taking an action. Well, when I made some of my mistakes, I did not really ponder. So the lessons were lost on me. And so I went further to make, some more. Failure. I think Warren Buffett said, I like to study failure because, anyway, everybody will make mistakes. There are no questions about that. Now, these are very exceptionally successful people. Warren Buffett is known as the guru in investment. He says failure is a given. And Sir Richard Branson, you may know him with Virgin, and he said failure is the first step to success. In other words, it's like saying you want to form a word and you don't know the alphabet. So in order for you to succeed, you have to fail. Yeah. So that's why when you feel like you're failing too much and you want to give up because of that, well, here are some exceptional minds and what they have to say about failure. And then the legendary Oprah Winfrey said, there's no such thing as failure. She said that failure is just life trying to tell us that, hey, you're moving to the wrong direction. And one of my favorite, my mentors in life, it's the late Jim Rohn. He said, your direction determines your destination. In other words, you cannot be heading south and expecting to end up in north. So if failure, it's life asking us to change direction. What it means is that we were heading the wrong direction initially. And so, having done my work and learned my lessons and continue to learn, continue to research, continue to try to improve myself every day, 4 things came to me. I learned 4 things. Or shall I say, I gained 4 tools which I'm going to share with you on how to use failure to rewrite that seeming pattern of failure in your life so that you begin to create success, followed by success for yourself. It's very, very possible. People have done it, and you too can do it. One of the things I have learned is having a sense of purpose. When you have a sense of purpose, you know what your life is all about. And so when you make a mistake in the pursuit of your life's purpose, you are fueled by the mere fact that you have a purpose in life. So the question is, why did this not work out the way I thought? And I hope you stop and ponder. Remember what pondering means. Thinking thoroughly before taking action or decision. Another tool that is helping me to um, rewrite the pattern of challenges I've had in the past. And you see, when you have a goal, when you watch footballers in the football in the playing in the field, to score, they have to be heading towards the goalpost. You cannot be heading somewhere else and intending to score. That's why you see the players, they're running towards the goal to score. So when you have a goal and you have a plan of action to accomplish your goal, any failure, any setback, any disappointment would only serve as a tool. Just like Sir Richard Branson said, that failure is a tool. It will only serve you as a tool to redirect yourself and figure out what you're not doing right. And you may say, okay, I have done everything I can about this and I still failed. Maybe that's not where you're supposed to be. Maybe that's not where you're supposed to be. So you failed, you studied so hard, and in the exam, you came short. Okay, why? Maybe you're nervous. Maybe you didn't sleep well, and so you didn't remember well. That doesn't mean you cannot succeed. Another tool that is helping me a lot, it's, knowledge, they say, is power. Only when you know what to do with it. Application of knowledge. You see, if you don't know, if let's say you have an inheritance and you're not aware of it, you will not be able to, lay your hands on it. The creator, I call him God. Some of you may call him the universe and the force and all that. Allah, I'm okay with that. Me as a Christian, I call him God. Says that we have a right to abundance in life. John 10:10 says that the thief comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But he comes that we may have life and have it more abundantly. So it's not a negotiation. We have a right to abundance. Having a right is not enough. You have to work. You have to know that you have the right, and then you have to find a way to go claim your right. And because you're finding a way to claiming your right doesn't mean that that way is going to be smooth. And that's where you don't give up because you encountered one challenge, excuse me, or some failure along the way. Another tool that's helped me and is still helping me is gratitude. You see, when we encounter a failure in one area of our life, it tends, some of us tend to think that that's the only thing. We forget that there are so many other things that we need to be grateful for. But most importantly, if you look at that failure and ask yourself, why did this happen? I assure you, you'll get a different perspective. You may learn a lesson that would not just apply to that same scenario, may apply to other things in life, as other aspects of your life, may apply to a family member, a friend, a loved one, a colleague, that you can use to help somebody. A lot of good things have come out of failures. I'll give you one. One of the good things that came out of failure is Coca-Cola. Look it up. It was a mistake that a chemist made. And instead of throw tantrums and throw it away, they discovered that, they have just cooked up a refreshing drink. And Coca-Cola is all over the world today. So when next you fail, remember that failure is not fatal. Success is not final. You can succeed in one thing, and the next step you fail in that. But you have to keep moving. You can't just drop the towel. So 4 things I want you to get out of this week's episode is 1, you will fail whether you like it or not. It's a given. Failure is a tool. You have the responsibility to figure out what kind of tool it is and how you can use it. We use tools to create, to build, to innovate. This means through which you're listening to me and watching me is a tool that somebody designed. So that's what failure is, a tool. And failure is your best friend. Best friends can get on our nerves sometimes, but for the most part, they mean well. Failure is life telling you, hey, you're heading to the wrong direction. So you need to stop and get your bearing. Remember, direction determines destination. So if failure says to you, you're heading the wrong direction, I think you should listen. I hope this episode blesses you somehow. And so I thank you for joining me today. Please share this channel, click and subscribe, give a thumbs up, and click on that bell icon so that when I upload the next video, you'll be one of the first people to be notified. And remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. There's no other person like you in this universe. And so nobody can do better that which your Creator has purpose for you to do. Believe that. Thank you. I'm Ada Ebufo. I'll see you next week.